Welcome to Remarkable Retail Podcast special 8-part summer series produced in partnership with CommerceNext. I'm Michael LeBlanc.
And I'm Steve Dennis. This summer, we're mixing up our format to bring you fast-paced interviews with top retail industry leaders, all of whom graced the stage earlier this summer at the CommerceNext Growth Show in New York City.
We'll be back with our regular format and Season 11 on Tuesday, September 2nd. In this episode, Stuart Hogue, Senior Vice President, U.S. Consumer at Land's End, joins us to explore how this iconic American brand is balancing its heritage with retail innovation. From fashion drops to AI-driven discovery, Stuart shares how Land's End is engaging new customers across marketplaces and social platforms while remaining true to the timeless products and values that make the brand a living retail case study to watch. Stuart, welcome to the Remarkable Retail Podcast here at CommerceNext. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for joining us and jumping on the mic. We're catching you just before you go on stage, so depends on our perspective. I think we're getting into the best time because you got all those thoughts mulling around.
Organizing my thoughts with you, and then I'll crystallize them on stage.
Dress rehearsal, basically dress rehearsal.
That's right. So listen, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do for a living.
Stuart Hogue. I get to be the head of U.S. Consumer for Land's End. I'm looking forward to talking about Land's End. I've been with the brand for a few years now, and I love it. I love what I get to do. I love the customers we serve, the people I get to lead, and the diversity of our business.
Let's pick up on that last part.
Yeah.
Well, first, did you always want to be in retail? Like, how did you find yourself in retail?
Well, I've always loved brands. From way back in a kid. When my first job out of college, I kind of found myself working at an investment bank by day, and then it was a low-paying job in an investment bank, so I had to get a job at night, and I ended up working at the Banana Republic during holiday in San Francisco.
Is that where you grew up, San Francisco?
I grew up in D.C., in Virginia, but then in 96 moved out to San Francisco to see what was going on. But then I won't take you through the whole story, but I went to business school here in about 2 decades ago. Went at night at NYU for 4 years, and one of my professors was this guy named Scott Galloway.
I've heard of him.
Scott's been on the podcast.
Scott's been on the pod. Yeah, Scott's been on the pod.
Amazing guy, and incredible opinions coming out of that gentleman. And I took his brand strategy class, and I just it all crystallized for me then and there, and I completely geeked out and fell in love with it.
Great story.
From there, I went to Nike, went to work at Nike for 15 years, and then I found my way to Land's End.
So let's talk about Land's End. There's not many people listening to the pod who won't know the name, but it's been through several iterations. We were talking off mic. Steve was at Sears, and at one time Sears owned Land's End.
$1.8 billion.
$1.8 billion on Land's End. I know there's a couple of stores now get a bigger footprint and such a heritage to the brand. Take us through what is the modern Land's End.
Yeah, well, I will start a little bit on the history. So Land's End was founded in 1963 by a gentleman named Gary Comer. It was initially founded as an all things sailing concept, so you could get everything you needed to outfit your boat at the store in Chicago. He was a visionary, and he realized he saw this catalog thing and the growth that was coming from that. He bought a big plot of land out in southwest Wisconsin in a town called Dodgeville, set up a distribution center, set up a call center. I mean, those are the two most important things you need when you're running a catalog business. And what I loved about the story is that at the time, the corporate office existed purely to support those two functions, distribution center and call center, and it was just like a little back office. And then it grew and grew and grew until the 90s when e-com kind of became a thing. And again, visionary, Land's End set up landsend.com the same month as Amazon.com.
And I guess the thinking being if we're good at catalog, we can be good at e-commerce because there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah. Well, all those customers that we're mailing directly and asking them to call in, we can now reach out to them through various direct marketing means, and they can place their order on Land's End or on the phone, and over time that's increasingly become through landsend.com.
I remember talking to my counterparts at Sears Canada who had a huge catalog at one time, and they told me that most people just love the catalog, and they instead of using the call center, they're placing their orders online in the early days. They weren't even really going to the site to shop.
Right.
They were just using it as a transaction medium. Is that similar?
Or fax.
Or a fax.
there's an old...
Or COD. We actually,
COD.
At one time we offered COD, but was that kind of as well part of the origin story, that period of time?
Absolutely. That's how it evolved. And, we still have customers who prefer to call us today. Not very many.
Yeah.
But most of them will transact through landsend.com. And then we have 25 stores. We're one of the biggest school uniform providers in the country.
Is that new for Land's End? Did that evolve in recent times, or has that been around for a while?
It's been around for a while.
Yeah,
It's been around for a while. We also have an outfitters division where we supply companies from a small mom and pop shop all the way to American Airlines. And that's another way in which we serve customers with our timeless product. And a big growth focus for us now is reaching new customers, serving new customers, and I'll talk about this later today, through digital marketplaces. So we just launched on Nordstrom.com this year, and that's been a huge success.
So we were talking a little bit offline and there's so many things we could talk about, and you're going to, as you're mentioning, you're going to be on this panel about omnichannel, and omnichannel is both a big topic, but also, I will say personally, a topic I'm a little bit sick of talking about because it's been around for so long. First of all, I guess, as you think about the term omnichannel, whatever, I like harmonized retail is my favorite, but what does it mean to you, I guess, just in general? But what does it mean for Land's End? And what do you think, for benefit of our audience, aside from just what Land's End is doing, what's important to focus on? And I'm going to ask you a very long question, but one of the things we talk a lot about on the podcast is the difference between table stakes and differentiators. And for me, having worked in this area of multi-channel integration, frictionless commerce, whatever, I'm like, if you haven't been working on frictionless commerce, if you haven't been thinking about the customer as the channel and breaking down silos, like, what have you been doing for the last 15 or 20 years? So when I get to these panels, I'm like, what are you even going to talk about today? But apparently there is going to be a thing.
Don't shake his confidence before the panel, for God's sakes.
So, not to get hung up on the semantics, but, what does omnichannel, or whatever you want to call it, mean today? What's important, and what are you doing to drive that success at Land's End?
Steve, you got me thinking they put me on at 5 o'clock for Well, I'll connect the dots between my Nike experience and my time at Land's End. We spend a lot in both places on investing in fighting that friction between online and offline, right? And just making it easy for a customer to shop when and however they want. And we were talking before we started that. We were talking about this back in the late 90s about this idea of making retail ever present, right? Like wherever you want to be, right? And I still think that's it. For me, it's less around technology and big platforms. It's more around understanding your customer, understanding their mindset, and knowing how best to be in that moment when they're about to...
the moments that matter, right? Really,
about to make that purchase, right? So the customer who shops on Nordstrom for our great swim technology might come to Land's End for a tote bag because they've seen a pop-up shop in Soho that was doing a personalization experience. And for me, that's omni-channel, which is being at that moment when it matters and driving into that consideration set.
We'll be right back with Stuart Hogue, Senior Vice President at Land's End, right after this quick break. Promotional support for the Remarkable Retail podcast is provided by Crave Retail. What's retail's biggest blind spot? The fitting room. A shopper wants to buy, but can't get the help they need. That's why global brands partner with Crave Retail, the market leader in smart fitting rooms. Crave connects that moment to your business, giving shoppers a voice, associates real-time alerts, and teams the data to buy smarter. The result? Higher conversion, better decisions, a seamless experience. Learn how fast you can elevate your fitting rooms at craveretail.com. If the world has changed so very, very much, why have so many organizations changed so little? As the pace of disruption accelerates, leaders need the courage and the insight to aim higher in the value they deliver, move faster than they ever have before, and take the bold action to leap ahead of the competition. With Leaders Leap, transforming your company at the speed of disruption, Steve's latest breakthrough bestseller, you'll discover why so many companies fall into the trap of the timid transformation. More than anything, you'll learn about the essential mind leaps leaders need to make to win the future. Leaders Leap is available just about everywhere books are sold, as well as on Audible and as an ebook on Kindle for just $9.99.
And with touch points and channels constantly changing, how do you stay on top? Jason Goldberg, whom you might know, he talks about how, and I hadn't thought about this term exactly, but years ago, if you wanted to learn about a new product, you discovered it in store.
Right.
Now you might discover it on TikTok, or like you say, there's so many places where customers are learning about products. Yeah. How do you even stay on top of that and then translate that to actionable steps for the brand?
It's impossible in some ways to stay on top of it. I mean, I think some of the best brands out there are letting it go a little bit and releasing content and experiences and stories out into the wild and seeing what happens. You know, I mentioned we did this pop-up personalization studio experience in Soho over Christmas that we're now replicating in Nantucket and Charleston this year. And what we've seen is that customers are really excited about tote bags. And we happen to have an amazing tote bag, and it's highly customizable. And one of our great strengths is embroidery, and so we can do a lot of things with the tote bag. So anyway, we set up this pop-up experience and allowed people to do whatever they wanted with it during the holidays. And we didn't know if like 2 people were going to show up or 5 or 10. And I mean, there were lines around the door. And what was cool is that moms were coming in with daughters, and moms bringing in their tote bags from Land's End that had been in the closet for the last 3 decades with their daughters, and doing things together, and just created a ton of connection and relationship and emotion around the brand. And what surprised us, I guess I'm finally going to answer your question, was like how much that content then got onto TikTok, and it just kind of exploded, right? I think that we tried something not knowing how it was going to go, and all of a sudden we've realized that our tote bag can be this energy driver for our brand and create real connections and deep and meaningful relationships with our customers.
And open it up to new customers as well.
Exactly.
I mean, that was my first experience of a Land's End product. Wasn't the apparel. It was, I was gifted a bag at a show. I'm like, this is the best bag.
Yeah. It's incredibly democratic. The customers coming in are younger than our base, and it's been really, really good.
So as a brand guy, I'm curious what you think about, it's made me think that on the one hand, you want to have kind of this looseness to be open to possibilities, try things, because it's really hard to figure out a lot of stuff just kind of a priori, and things are always changing. So be doing that experimentation and kind of see where it leads you. But at the same time, it seems like the best brands can be, need to be very disciplined. Yeah. And so, and I want to hear a little bit about your marketplace strategy, I guess, is related to this question too. Who do you choose to be in business with? How do you manage that distribution strategy so you are taking care of the brand, but you're not so locked in that you miss things?
Yes, that's a good point, Steve. Like, to be a brand, you have to be able to say no over and over and over again. And we do that. And, for us, when it comes to our marketplace relationships, being disciplined is, one, choosing who you do business with, but also choosing what product you happen to sell on the marketplace, and doing that with a consumer lens, right? So understanding the mindset and the profile of the consumer who's shopping on Nordstrom versus the consumer who's shopping on Amazon, right? Like on Amazon, through our data, we discovered that the men's quarter zip sweater was going to be an item of this past holiday, and we leaned heavily into that. We happen to have a great quarter zip sweater called the Bedford. You might remember that. And we just drove it, and it became the number 1 selling sweater on Amazon for that term. And so I think it's being really insightful and understanding who your customer is, where they shop, and not just that, but what's that mindset for why they're on the destination when they're there.
So I want to continue down the road of brand strategy, harkening back to Scott Galloway and his brand strategy and stuff that Steve talks about often and we talk about often, which is the difference between table stakes and differentiators from a brand perspective. And I guess what we're trying to get to, consistent with the remarkable, is what is that for Land's End, and how do you position what those attributes are to make you remarkable, literally to be remarked upon, as you've already indicated has happened out of the Soho thing. Like, how do you think about those differentiators? Because that too is a moving target, right? Absolutely. Last year's differentiator is next year's table stakes.
what makes Land's End so unique is what has always made Land's End so unique, which is great, timeless product that can last a lifetime, right? We have amazing franchises, whether it's our tugless swimsuit, the tote bag that I talked about, our squall jacket, our expedition jacket, our no iron chinos. Like, these things serve customers and have incredible loyalty because they understand the fit and the quality and the solutions that they have built into them. And I think that will always be what makes us unique and remarkable. And I would argue that having great product that stands for something is more important than ever.
I think of it sometimes as timeless and timely for those kind of products, right? They're both like, they're not a history lesson.
No.
But they're contemporary. But they're somewhere like relevance, right?
Yeah.
On the relevance scale.
Absolutely. And we're hard at work on the brand and trying to create a lot of energy and momentum around the brand. And you can't just do that by relying on the old franchises. Right.
Sure.
So,
we'll be right back with Stuart Hogue from Land's End after another quick break. Promotional support for the show comes from Glass Media. How do you amplify the wow in your stores? With next-level in-store signage and displays from Glass Media. Glass Media boldly challenges the status quo by leveraging its world-class design, engineering, and manufacturing to elevate brand presence and drive both engagement and conversion. Find out why leading brands and retailers worldwide trust Glass Media to make their stores more remarkable. To take your visual merchandising to the next level, go to glass-media.com. Why choose between brand storytelling and driving business results when Find Mine delivers both? Find Mine's innovative enterprise platform generates breakthrough customer experiences for top brands like Lululemon and Ann Taylor. And this fall, Find Mine's democratizing the magic with a new GPT-style system for marketers, merchandisers, and product managers that adds improved features to your customer journey without enterprise contracts or getting stuck in product development backlogs. To get a jump on the competition, join the waitlist today at findmine.com/remarkable retail.
So how do you balance, one of the criticisms, even back however many years ago that was now, 23 years ago when I was involved with the Land's End acquisition, one of the complaints, I guess, or criticisms of the Land's End brand was it was too traditional, too old, and I know there have been various iterations to try to make the brand more or less contemporary. And what I'm interested in, because I very much resonate with this idea of what makes Land's End special and unique, but it seems like there could be a struggle with trying to attract new customers to the brand while trying to preserve, to the extent it makes sense, the customers that have known and loved Land's End, but
totally.
I mean, we're all going to die, right? So, and it turns out dead customers are not likely to be your best customers.
No. We always have to be growing and inviting new customers into the brand. I think that's part two of the strategy. Part one is focusing on the franchises and the things that make us historically great. One of the things that our design and merchandising team have done have brought a lot of trend and newness and fashion into the line. And we used to, and this was kind of a heritage or legacy of the catalog past, we would do all the product that was going to launch in the catalog, load it all in for a season, and then work our way through it. And now we have this ongoing monthly cadence
more
of newness,
like drops, like a fashion drop.
Yeah, fashion drops that sell out, that we can talk about in social and create that growth engine. That's been very successful for us.
Yeah. So we're just about up on our time with you. This has been great, but any general piece of advice for brand enthusiasts out there that are trying to navigate the choppy waters of retail these days?
Well, one of the things I hope to talk about later today is, and everyone's going to be talking about, which is AI. And I think what's interesting about that in particular is the intersection of AI and omnichannel, and perhaps that's the new reason to be talking about it. When you look, we've been studying the data, and what we have found is that traffic coming from the agents, the AI agents, is growing fast. And I think there's going to be a real impact on search and how customers discover and find product.
There's some risk to that, right? I mean, like that's another thing between you and the customer, no?
Yeah, it could, yes. As is, any kind of platform where you happen to, market. I think there's also some opportunity, right? And, if kind of 1.0 of digital marketing was buying terms and maybe 2.0 is building authority out there, because I think that's what the agents are going to be tuned to, and we're already seeing that they will deliver results on your .com site, but also on these marketplaces, because they aggregate so much traffic and have so much more authority. So I think that connects back to the omni-channel thing of how do you bring it all together, and how does discovery change in the world of AI. So I guess my advice would be related to that is be curious and lean into it. You know, it's something at the company we're leaning hard into and trying to learn as fast as we can.
So this is probably a separate podcast, but I'm curious whether you've got a short answer. Like I always figure it's better to be the toll booth operator than the road. And I think one of the dangers, and you know, we saw this obviously with Google and paid search and all those kinds of things. And then, you know, now we've got these agents. And how do you...
Agentic AI agents.
How do you... I guess my question is this disintermediation risk, right, of not thinking about... What's my question? I guess you can think about how to use agentic search to your advantage, but maybe the next thing is to be thinking about how do you not get disintermediated by all the agents, right? Which gets back to brand, right?
Well, the agents, you have to assume that they will figure out how to monetize it once there's a critical mass there. Perplexity already has embedded shopping in their platform if you're part of the membership program. So, we'll find out.
We're using it for good, not evil, right?
Yeah, exactly. We'll find out.
We'll find out together. Well, listen, Stuart, it's been such a treat to have you sit down with us here in the Remarkable Retail Podcast and learn more about the brand. Congratulations on your success, and wishing you much success and a great session coming up here at the show.
Well, thank you both. You're kind to have me on. I appreciate it.
Fantastic.
Thanks for listening. Please don't forget to give us that 5-star rating and review wherever you enjoy your podcast.
And be sure to subscribe and check out our latest retail store tour videos on the Remarkable Retail Podcast YouTube channel.